we go. All right, audio working and everything. I've had that happen a few times. I sit here for 20 minutes, have a real heart to heart, no audio. Hey, you know what? Maybe give it a few months. Maybe the AI, like virtual speak, could recognize my words. Maybe that won't be a problem. But no, plan for today: arms, triceps, biceps, light squeezing sets, some heavy, kind of nasty sets, and then maybe a couple kind of supersets as a combination of anything in between, you know? And this is, this is something I see a little bit too frequently, and it kind of sucks. I mean, it definitely does not get me excited to train when the guys that I'm watching lift next to me are kind of barely training to uncomfortability, you know? And, that's subjective, you know, so maybe I'm being a little bit pretentious here. Because for somebody, especially a beginner, I mean, fucking, even if they could do 10 more reps and their bicep is seriously burning, then yeah, you're just a beginner. You're getting used to it. You're working your way up. So that's a little bit of a different case. But if you've been lifting for a while and you've kind of reached the point of, you know, you're 6 months deep, you're 8 months deep, whatever, you can't really do fluff work because it's not going to give you any fucking results whatsoever, right? I mean, if I were to come into the gym today and just do 8 sets of, it could look like a workout, and that's unfortunate. It's like, it's kind of like a wolf in sheep's clothing. I could do a couple sets of pushdowns and rope extensions and dips, and I could do like some dumbbell curls and some preachers and cables, and I could make it look like I was going hard. I could pretend like, oh, that's failure right there. Oh, put the weight down. Nobody would be any the wiser. But guess what? That wouldn't get me fucking gains for jack. And this is something which at least I think I have a decent sense of. Because if you lift for long enough and you've taken enough sets to failure and you watch enough workout videos where people are training hard and like you see the guys lifting next to you, you kind of you develop a sense of just how many more reps can be done, right? Like if someone was watching me do a set of bench, or yeah, probably more compound lifts, it's a little bit easier to do this. But if they watch me do incline bench, let's say I do 5 good reps all back to back, and then now I have to hold it at the top, take a breath for a second before every rep. After those first 5, and maybe watching like 1 or 2 of those reps where I have to hold it at the top to breathe a little bit. After watching like only 7 reps, 6 reps or so, somebody who's experienced lifting is going to be able to know, like, okay, he could get 4 more, or okay, he could probably get 3 more. 4 might be pushing it, something like that. You kind of develop a sense of just like the tempo at which failure kind of approaches the end of a set. So I feel like I can kind of see somebody doing a set, and I can tell that wasn't all they've got, you know. Now, not that that's like, I'm not going to say you're completely wasting your time, because you obviously you're in the gym, you're lifting weights, right? You're doing your workout, so that's all fine and good. Everybody should be doing that. But when I say this, I don't mean like, oh, if you're going to lift around me, you've got to go to failure, or else I'm like I'll be pissed at you. Like, that's not exactly what I'm trying to say here. What I mean is, like, why is anyone going to the gym in the first place? Why is anybody coming to the gym, taking a significant portion of their day to come work out? I'd say 80% of the time it's to make gains, right? Now it's a little bit different if you're just trying to fucking, stay athletic, stay healthy, stay strong. I mean, you gotta remember, use it or lose it, right? Anybody any millennials, any of my millennial viewers would probably have noticed, once you stopped doing your high school sport where you were training all the fucking time, and then you became a little bit more, I don't want to say relaxed, but like your day ended up being a little bit more chill in terms of like your activity level. You notice, man, shit's gonna feel heavier, right? You're not gonna have that same kind of endurance and fucking like strength. So going to the gym at all, that should be baseline, right? I think across the board, everybody should be going to the gym, getting a reasonable amount of weight-based training exposure on the regular. It's simply just, it's good for you, right? That is very good for you. But if you know that you want to make gains, if you know that you want to be bigger and stronger, then why are you holding yourself back from doing so? You know? So that's where you kind of should have a realization at least every so often, like, okay, I'm not actually training that hard right now. Fuck. All right, I gotta lock it in. I gotta get a little bit more serious. And the moments which kind of might cause that self-reflection are gonna differ from fucking lifter to lifter. You know, it's not a cut and dry like situation where you fucking like in the Mangekyo Sharingan or anything like that. But there are kind of classic tropes, a very classic trope. Girlfriend broke up with you. I see that a lot. I see that a lot. That's typically a good, well, I don't know if I'd say it's a good, but that's typically a strong motivator, right? But ones that I can kind of relate with a little bit more are, I remember I went to a bodybuilding show like 2.5 years ago or something, and I had just bulked up to like 220 at the time. I was 200 before that bulk, so I felt pretty fucking cool. And then, I'm like the amateur guys came out and they look pretty good, but I was like, oh, I could stand up there with these guys. That'd be cool. And then the actual kind of like classic physique dudes who were bigger, way bigger than me at the time, they came out, and I was just sitting here like, oh yeah, this is. I can't wait till I get to do this. I'm already like, I feel like I'm already competitive. And then I see these guys walk out, and I'm like these are the guys who in my mind I had envisioned like I'm at the same level. And as soon as they came out, I was like, oh shit. Brought back down to reality. I remember driving home, I was extra fucking excited. I had already lifted that day, so I didn't have like a serious lift that night, but that was kind of a noticeable moment where the fucking intensity of the lifts spiked and reached a new baseline. And then, other than that, which is probably a little bit more frequent, is you just kind of realize like you've been taking it easy. If you've been working out the exact same way, you've been doing the same sets, you've been doing the same intensity, you're not getting any bigger, you're not getting any stronger, then, I would hope eventually you kind of realize, like, look, my end result is not actually fucking changing from month to month. I, I got to do something. I mean, it's pretty basic. If you don't notice the effect that you want, then clearly you're not causing any stimulus which is going to give it to you. So typically I would say that's going to be, you need to eat more food, you need to do your sets with more intensity, really try to approach failure, and by that I really just mean go as hard as you can on all your sets, and then maybe tone back on anything that's going to cut into your gains. If you're getting 4 hours of sleep per night on average, yeah, I probably wouldn't be surprised if you told me you're not growing and you don't feel very strong all the time. If you told me you were drinking on the regular, I would not be surprised when you tell me like, yeah, I fucking always feel like shit. My energy levels are still low when I'm working out. That wouldn't surprise me, right? So, if all these kind of factors, you can sort of begin to improve them. You can start lifting a little bit harder, taking a few more of your sets to failure, like, as hard as you actually can. You should expect better results, man. And not even should, you will see better results. But you have to actually induce that stimulus to really get them. If you plant a fucking seed in a little flower pot and you don't water it and you don't fertilize it and you don't give it any sunlight, guess what? It's not gonna fucking grow. But if you do all these basic things which are proven to fucking work in terms of actually improving your gains, then it's not a question of like, oh, am I gonna actually grow? Am I gonna get the results that I want? No. The only question is like, okay, am I actually willing to put all this fucking, time and energy into this shit? And I think the only reason that kind of becomes a little bit of a problem, and like that becomes an actual like internal sort of uh, like question, like, okay, do I really even want to do this? It's just the fact that it's a delayed gratification. The fun part, because I mean, like, once I finish this lift, I'm kind of beyond the point of no return in a good way, because now every lift that I do, I'm fucking pumped to shit. I got a good night's rest. I'm well hydrated. I ate all my food. I feel good. Did my cardio. I get a nasty pump every time. I pretty much get to reap the benefits on a daily basis, which is insane. It's fucking badass. But before you've kind of reached that point, it does feel, I mean, it could feel like a little bit more work than play. But the longer that you do it, and the more that you can kind of wire your brain to enjoy it. Like if you're looking up the guys in the space and you're watching all their videos and their workouts, I think over time it'll become more fun. So, but I can't tell you exactly how to do that. Like when I see comments asking me about like, okay, how do I get motivated? How do I get disciplined? My number one sort of point, which I could bring up, is like, watch badass shit. Watch some old Dorian Yates training videos. Watch some fucking like bodybuilding like hype shit. Find some guys that you actually like. Ideally, they're gonna be kind of like just cool, funny, be pretty well spoken, and they're fucking massive too. And then it's just fucking fun, man, because you can kind of like, you can sort of see where you want to head towards, and it's extra fun for you, right? But apart from that, apart from like, looking up to guys who are ahead of you in the space and who you want to kind of like, I don't want to say just copy, but sort of, approach their level, like stuff like that. It's really just kind of up to you, man. It's like I can't give you a reason to do anything apart from the fact that, I look up to these guys. They're going hard. I want to do the same. But it's not a, don't go into it thinking you're trying to fucking torture yourself. I'm really not a massive fan of like, saying like, you gotta be a fucking, you gotta be a robot, man. You gotta fucking, train no matter how hard you fucking, no matter how bad you feel, no matter what's going on, you gotta fucking be a beast about it. Because that's not fun. That's not enjoyable. And if you can't enjoy something, what are the odds that you're gonna do it for longer than a week straight? Fucking, what, 10%? And then what are the odds that you're gonna do something that you don't enjoy for years on end? Never. Zero. Literally fucking zero odds. So that's where I kind of like, and it is a chore, it's definitely not a chore, but if you can try to improve everything around your day such that when you do get to work out, you do feel good, you are well rested, you're well fed, you're hydrated, you don't have a fucking headache from, having a lack of fluids in your system and electrolytes. As long as you can line everything up well, then all the support has now been put into place. Like you got a few fucking big ass pillars that are holding up your training. One big one right here, sleep. Another big one right here, diet. Another big one right here, hydration. Another big one right here, just having a reasonable mindset, not be fucking freaking out about anything too much. If you're going into a workout and you're already kind of anxious about like whatever's going on in your life, odds are you're not going to have that much fun doing it. And if you can kind of get all these things in reasonable equilibrium, then when you get to go to work out, you're going to enjoy it. So that's kind of what I like to focus on, right? Like it is a combination of the two, because you should train even if you feel a little bit sluggish. Stay hard, but you should also just try to put in a little bit of energy outside the gym so that the actual training is more enjoyable. Because I guess in either case it would work, right? If you've got that David Goggins dog in you, and you're like, oh fucking, I can't think of exactly one of his speeches right now, but like, if you're gonna train, even if you feel like you're dying, I mean, yeah, you're going hard, but would it not just be better to make your day such that when you do get to go work out, you get to like it? That's where my head's at there. You should try to, and I mean, this isn't like I'm not saying this like an order, but at least from my perspective, you're going to have a better time if you sort of, get your ducks in order, if that's the phrase, and then just fucking go hard, man. But yeah, playing for arms, not, well, who's to say, right? In terms of the volume, I'm not doing a specific number of sets. I'm kind of reaching a specific point of like fatigue where I feel like I'm done, which historically over the last few months has been about like 7 or 8 sets or so, but sometimes more, sometimes less. I just had a bicep workout like, well, last arm day. I think I did like 3, I don't know, I think I did 4, maybe 5 sets of bicep curls, and they were fully pumped and pretty fucking fatigued. And one thing that I think you're going to notice if you do start to take your sets to a legitimate level of intensity, I'm not saying you have to hit complete muscular failure, but actually push yourself as hard as you know you can. You're not going to have to sit there for 20 sets, because I've been there before. I've done 25 set tricep workouts where I pick 5 movements and I do 5 sets for each movement. But I mean, looking back, I wasn't going that hard. I wasn't really going that hard on those sets. They were kind of just fluffy. So if you can condense your training in terms of its intensity, go from a red giant to a dwarf star, really condense that fucking energy. You won't have to do so many sets. And don't that kind of sounds like I don't want to do the sets, but I think that's a better approach in terms of actually stimulating gains. And that's what I'm trying to do. So if for whatever reason I suddenly realize, like, oh, I should be doing 100 sets for biceps, that's the best, then that's what I do. But I don't think that's the case. So no more talking, no more chatting. Let's just get started with triceps. Nothing too heavy. Let's do it. I've been on a kick, man. For triceps, I've really been liking starting with something light and squeezing. Because whenever I move on to heavier sets, my triceps are already nice and warm, and my elbows are as well. So 27.5 pounds, kind of cross-body situation like this. Really hold it, squeeze, come back up, same shit. Just pretty much show failure. All I need now is a little bit better song. All right, come on. Yeah. 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 Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah, a few more like that. Oh gosh. Okay. Wow. Fuck. Whew. That is an absolutely nasty fucking burn on my long head of my tricep. Only 2 set in, pump check. We're well on our way to something. What do you think? If you were me, should I do one more set of these or do a set of rope next? Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh. Now let's do a rope. That was a good triple starter though. And I'm not joking, man. I'm talking light. I'm talking 30, yeah, fuck. Literally the same weight that I was just doing single armed, but now for a double arm rope push down. But it's actually, well, at the bottom, it will actually feel like a bit more than that, because I'm not sure how you, I don't know how far you made it through school, if you know about trigonometry or anything fancy. But sure, when I'm at the top, on my triceps, it's gonna feel like 30 pounds, because the weight is only pulling me upwards, right? It's only fighting me in one direction. But when I pull it down and I start to spread my triceps apart, and now I'm pulling the handle, not only am I pulling that 30 pounds downward, but I'm also pulling, some like proportion of that weight sideways. So honestly, a rope is kind of cool because it changes the strength curve of the actual movement. Like with a straight bar, you feel like the 100 pounds the whole time, that's it. But with a rope, it actually gets a little bit heavier on your triceps because you pull it sideways at the bottom, which I like. So no need for anything heavy. This is gonna be another really squeezing, burning set. But when you move on to like straight bar pushdowns or dips, then I'll throw some weight around. Let's roll the sleeve up for this one too. Yeah. 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 Fuck. Fuck. One more. A little heavier on this one though. Okay. Holy fuck. That was good. Okay. That's the light squeezing portion, at least the starter, done. Now I can do a few different movements now. I can move on to dips. I can move on to heavy straight bar. Let me rest a minute and then decide. All right, so whoever, and I mean, I've seen this before. I guess it never really clicked for me, but it's kind of hard to do anything overhead for me because like if I grab I can't even grab a dumbbell. I'm so tight now. Like if I grab one like 100-pound dumbbell or something and try to throw it over my head like this, that just does not work for me. And skull crushers, they kind of just wrench my elbows. So what I really need is like a tricep machine where you sit down on it and it's got that overhead action, but it's very rare. I barely ever see it. But after a few feeler reps of the rope, where you kind of stick your butt up against the upright, not the middle. I mean, I'm not crazy. I'm going to do kind of the right cheek, but going like this, I'm getting that overhead action, but I'm not having to like wrench it up here and do it like upright. This feels really cool. So let's bust out one of these, moderate weight, but still light enough I can get a decent squeeze. But with something like this, very different than what I'm focusing on for those first sets of rope. Because with these first sets, I was really focusing on the squeeze at the bottom. This was the hard part. And this was kind of easy. I was just getting the tension off up here, a good stretch. That's the hard part. Whereas with this, I'm really trying to emphasize that stretch at the bottom and really pull the long head, like kind of where it ties into right here. this whole chunk I want to feel a lot of activation on. And then, a few sets here should be sick. All right. Oh. 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 Okay. That's perfect. Whew. I think 2 more like that. Oh, yeah. One more. I'll make it a drop set too. Okay. Okay. Honestly, I think that might be enough right there. I mean, how many sets was that? I think it was like, was it 3 of the extensions like this, 2 push downs, and then 3 of these. That's 8 sets. Let me sit for a minute and decide. And that's kind of how a lot of my workouts, I have a basic framework. I know I'm going to do push downs and maybe machine dips and stuff. Like, I know my arsenal of movements. I know what I could do, but I kind of have to wait until I'm literally in the workout to decide like what I actually want to do. So I need to kind of wait a second and see how my triceps recover in a few minutes. But honestly, they're fucking already pretty fucking wrecked right now. But a part of me thinks I might need 1 more set to really finish them off. So let's either flash forward to a set of dumbbell curls or 1 more set of triceps. 1 more rope. 1 more rope, and then we can get out of here. Well, then we can move on to biceps. Actually, I kind of want to go on this side because I almost feel like whichever side I can see myself in the mirror on is like the side I squeeze harder. So I did every set looking at my left tricep. I got to do this finisher looking at my right to even things out. Yeah. 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 Okay. Okay. Now that's enough. Yeah. Time for some curls. I think I've been limiting some of my fancier sets to just single movements. You know, if you've watched any of these leg days, I always like doing leg extensions as the first set. 5 reps on one side, 5 on the other, 5 on one, 5 on the other. I do the same thing for triceps sometimes. Why haven't I been doing that for fucking bicep curls? So I'm thinking 55s, 5 reps one side, all in a row, sit here and hold it. And since I've got straps, that's not going to completely tax my whole fucking system. 5 on the other, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5 is, you know, as many as reasonable. And then maybe, I don't know, maybe turn it into a little bit of a drop set mechanically, or maybe I hit, you know, 4 back and forths of the 5s. I'm like about a failure, and then switch to some hammer curls. I'm not a huge hammer curl fan because my forearms are kind of big enough on this backside, but as like basically self-assistance for my biceps, I like them a little. You know, I'm not a hater. I just use them only specifically. But let's get hyped up. Oh my god. Oh my god. Holy shit. That's fucking nasty. Ooh. Yeah, a few more like that. Holy shit. And then, I don't know if you know this or not, but when you're doing dumbbell curls alternating and you start from a hammer curl position and twist it, your forearms do a lot of work in the bottom. So staying supinated the whole way down, a little bit more bicep, but a few more. Maybe I'll try one more at the 55s, but I'm going to have to go lighter. Oh my god. Oh my god. 45s this time. 55s are too fucking heavy. Oh my god. Whew. Gotta make it a little rest pause. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh my god. Holy fuck. Holy crap. Whew. Okay. No more of that. But that was a perfect opening 3. Let me decide what I want to do next. But I have some idea, I think. Self-assisted seated concentration curls. Honestly, this is pretty much the exact same thing that I was just doing. You know, my hand's staying at this angle the whole curl. But the twist, the kicker, is that with these, I get to help myself on the last 5. Because I'm going to reach a point where I can only get it to like right here. And sure, if I kept trying to just do this micro ROM, maybe I'd get a little bit out of it. But I don't think so, you know. So by the time I get to here, I think I've pretty much exhausted my own strength with just this system. But I can still use my other arm, pull that dumbbell all the way to the top, and then let go. And then I'm just wearing my bicep down every time in a good way. So that's the plan here. Come on. Fuck. Yeah. Okay. Okay. One more of these. Two. Fuck. Oh my god. Fuck. Okay. What's next? I'm not sure, but it'll be good. I've got a plan. I've got a plan for this one. I'm talking superset and I'm talking drop set. Because the first part of the workout, or the first part of this little back and forth, will be a little heavier and this will be a little bit lighter. So 50-pound dumbbell curls, regular alternating, nothing fancy. And the whole purpose of them is really kind of just to burn out. You know, I'm trying to wreck my biceps in a good way. And then once I'm pretty much at about failure and really just like well fatigued, put the weights down, whip the straps off, then grab this 55-pound straight bar. I'm a little bit more of an easy curl bar fan, but this will do. And then do some squeezing reps. I might not just really hold it at the top, but I will seriously squeeze every rep. So let me pick a different song and get amped up for it. Okay. Oh my God. That's enough. Arms complete. Whew. Let's go pose down. There we go. Arms complete. Arms fucking complete. So inches wise, probably about 20. I feel just as pumped as I did the last time that I measured, and they're about 20. So we'll remeasure in a few weeks and really just see where we're fucking at. But no point talking about the pump when it's right here in front of our flipping eyes. Hey, you see that? Didn't drop an F-bomb. I'm trying. It just comes so naturally. It's so weird. I do not swear like this when I'm just walking around like normal. It must be something about the one-on-one me and you have. But looking relatively nasty in the gray beater. Oh, oh my gosh. One most muscular, but also one crucifix for the fucking road. Whew. That pose is honestly uncomfortable with an arm pump because my biceps are so tight to like completely straighten my arms all the way. Like it actually fucking feels like I'm gonna pull something. I never have, but still. So, one thing I'll say about this lift, and don't judge the breathing. You know, I just finished some hard sets. But one thing I'll say about this lift especially, which is really good for me, is I wasn't thinking about anything else. All right? There was nothing else on my mind except for the workout itself. And not even the workout itself, really just like whatever set was right in front of me at that given moment. And those are the best lifts, right? Those are the lifts where you're pretty much, I mean, you're in the zone. You're in the fucking flow state, you know? Like this lift, honestly, feels like it ended as soon as it fucking started for me because, you know, I wasn't really distracted by anything. And I can't stress enough that pretty much everything that I've done in the last 24 hours, apart from like, you know, chilling on my phone and stuff, was kind of helping me get to this point. You know, I'm going to have a good lift if I'm well rested, if I'm well fed, if I'm well hydrated, And honestly, probably the rested and hydrated part are the more important. The diet is really more so important for the long run of actual like growing sort of gains, or the reverse, dieting down. But if I'm well rested and I'm well hydrated, then at baseline already, I feel good. I have a good fucking sensation of like, okay, I'm walking around, I feel strong, I feel good, no headache, my stomach's not grumbling, I'm ready to lift, you know? And then all I had to do is play my music, go hard, enjoy it, right? That's the fun part. So if anything was out of whack, odds are it's going to take you out of that fucking flow state, man. Even if you don't have any like drama or anything going on, if you're tired, like you just cutting this down just to sleep. If you didn't get enough sleep and you're fucking tired, the workout is going to begin to feel much more like a chore, much more like a task, rather than an activity that you enjoy doing. Because if it feels like a chore, you're going to be fucking checking your phone for the clock the whole time. You're going to feel like, oh, you're not going to enjoy it. So then you're probably going to pull your phone out, scroll a couple TikToks. Look, I'm all for busting out TikTok mid-workout, but not to scroll, right? I'm just looking at my saved videos so I can have like a Tanjiro edit on loop while I do a set of fucking badass curls, you know? So the more that you're kind of prone to distraction, the worse you're going to perform. You know, when you were in high school or when you were in college or whatever, if you liked chemistry, odds are you got the best grades when you were in chemistry because you were present, you were active, you were actually thinking about what you were doing. Now, if you weren't a fan, odds are, this is me pretending to look at my phone under my desk and not get caught while I'm fucking around and not actually paying attention. You know, so the more present you can be in whatever you're doing, the better you're going to perform in whatever that is. So in that sense, you know, when you're lifting, focus on lifting. When you're chilling, focus on chilling. You know, when you're eating, focus on eating. When you're sleeping, I guess you don't have to focus, but don't focus on anything else. You know, don't be playing on your phone. And that's not advice for you like I'm a sleep guru. That's advice for me also. Damn, I'm always staying up too fucking late on my phone. But either way, the more that you can only, well, I mean, basically just if you can put blinders on so that the only thing in front of you is the fucking workout and everything else is just beyond the realm of your even, like you don't even notice. You're not even thinking about anything else. You will perform better, right? Get some tunnel vision. Get some goddamn tunnel vision. Let's get in the car. All right. I feel like this doesn't need to be said, but it kind of does need to be said. If your primary goal is just pretty much gains like a standard fucking lifter, you know, I'm talking big, strong, like after a few years you're gonna actually be pretty fucking jacked, you know, your grandma's gonna notice everything, then I would probably say the sooner you can detach yourself from wanting to find out your 1 rep max strength on movements, the better. And of course, you know, that's coming from me. I've been known to kind of push the weight a little bit too heavy. I'm working on it. And if you watch the last like week or so of videos, anybody who's a real form fanatic, you'd actually probably be pretty fucking, I don't want to say proud, but you'd probably say, oh, that's some good training. Doing a lot of lighter squeezing stuff as well. Like I'm doing my heavy stuff too, but I'm adding a bit more light squeezing work, a little bit more conducive with longevity, because I gotta be doing these fucking heavy push downs and shit for years to come. Probably not the best idea to blow out my fucking elbows. And so I'm getting smarter. I'm getting a little bit smarter. But, you know, I can't stress enough, man. If you're like, and it sucks to say this because it's cool doing 1 rep maxes. I've been there. I've done it. I remember doing 315 for 1 my first time. Felt like a fucking badass, you know? But you kind of have to remember, and this sort of plays into kind of just gains in general, is it's a long game. You know, if you can be in it for the long haul, then, you know, you're going to be setting yourself up for much more fucking success. You know, what's your max stat in your Mario Kart build? You know, do you want that max acceleration? Do you want to fucking test your shit out right now? Or do you want maximum speed, man? So it might take a little longer to get there. not that that analogy doesn't really correlate, but what I mean is like when you do a chest day and you spend pretty much all your effort on hard, heavy sets of like 8 reps minimum, where do a heavy bench, pick a weight where you can only get 8 reps and you're actually going to hit legitimate failure, but that make it a real working set, because working sets are what are actually going to build your size and your strength, which are going to let you be able to do a heavier 1 rep max, you know? So that's where I kind of feel like I wish that the kind of lifter culture was a little bit more obsessed with like 8 rep maxes or like 10 rep maxes, like rep PRs, because that's, I would say, much more conducive with your actual overall gains than just like a 1 rep max, you know. And even then, I mean, does that even really matter too much? I mean, over the course of time, you should be getting bigger and stronger. Like, I kind of even noticed this today, which was kind of cool for me. But like when I was curling those 50s for those like dumbbell preacher curls, the first 5 reps, like that set where I kind of wanted to do like quick reps, those first 5 actually felt like pretty light. And in my mind, I'm like, fuck, man. I remember when I couldn't even curl the 50s for one, and now I'm just kind of tossing it around, you know. So the bigger you get, the stronger you'll get. But it's not all about the weight. Which I know it's fucking weird for me to say. I'm turning into more of a classic lifter here, but it's really about the fucking intensity of your sets, you know? And in terms of the actual like longevity of your training, you're just going to be better off putting all your work into real progressing working sets. Because if your shit is to do a 1 rep max for bench, then I mean, best case scenario, maybe don't do it. But if you have to do it, at least I could say the best approach would be do that first. Do a proper warm up, actually go up and weight slowly in a controlled manner. If you're going for a 250-pound flat bench press, do not just like do some rotator cuff work and then immediately get under 250. That's fucking crazy. Warm up slowly, right? Do a whatever amount of increments you need to get up to that weight. Do a plate in the 25, do 2 plates, do what like ease into it, and then sure, go for it, right? If you have to do it. But after you've done it, get immediately back into your working sets. And when I was doing 1 rep maxes, more so in the beginning, like first couple of years when I was working out, actually, I think probably just the first 2 years, I didn't do any 1 rep maxes after 2 years or so. But if you have to do it, and when I would do that first in the workout. I never hurt myself or anything doing them, but I actually, fuck, man, I think the only thing I ever did 1 rep maxes on was chest. I mean, getting a big bench, it is cool. I'm not going to say it's not cool, but I think doing a 1 rep, it's not getting you anywhere. It's purely testing where your strength is at this current moment. And at its core, I mean, it is cool. It is training. It's testing to see how far you've come, and you get to notice gains over time. So I guess if you're kind of more of a power lifter style dude, then yeah, go for it. But what so of course, if you're a power lifter, they do 1 rep max all the time. They're constantly doing 1 rep sets, 2 rep sets, 3 rep sets, like RPE 10. Like this is their max. But they do that all the time. If you're working out like a regular lifter and you're doing, real kind of like hypertrophy focused sets where you're doing 8 rep minimum, then if you do that for like a few months on end, if you suddenly now want to like do a 1 rep on your bench or like a max out your squat, or I don't deadlift, but sure, if you wanted to max out your deadlift, but you haven't done any low rep, like massive fucking weight sets before then, that's where you're asking for trouble. And I mean, that's, at least from my perspective, like where I'm at now, I'm never going to do a 1 rep max on anything. Really, I don't want to do any sets that are under 8 reps. Now, if I do, then typically what I end up doing is I just turn that into a drop set, or I make it like a rest pause. Like if I go a little bit too heavy on like machine chest press, let's say I only get 5 reps, I might just set it down, sit, breathe for like 30 seconds or so, and then try to do like 2 more, at least 3 more to get that 8, just because that's kind of the number I'm aiming for. But really, all that kind of means to me is I picked a weight that was too heavy. I should have gone a little bit lighter so I could at least get 8. And of course, 8 is not like the magic number, but it's kind of what I've come to think of as like the lowest number of reps that I would really want to do in a set to have it be like effective. Now, sure, if I did 7 reps, it's not going to be too much different. But I think giving yourself a rule like that, it's not bad. It's not too bad. So when I think of volume, I'd say 8 reps minimum and maybe 25, fucking 30 reps maximum. I mean, it's been shown those are effective rep schemes, but that's where I think you need an even mix of heavy, hard shit, closer to those 8 rep numbers, and some lighter squeezing stuff upwards in like more 15, 20 reps. Things like that. In training in that way, kind of a back and forth of really heavy, nasty stuff with lighter squeezing reps, that has come to be the style that I really like. So today it was a bit more light squeezing, especially for triceps. I mean, that was pretty much basically all light squeezing shit. My triceps are fucking wrecked. And then buys was also relatively light. I mean, nothing too crazy. That was all weight that was well within reason for me. Like I was never at all afraid today that I was gonna pull my bicep off accidentally. But by making the reps hard and doing hard ass fucking sets, I know I got some solid ass fucking work done. So if you're still there, if you're still itching to hit your fucking your bench PR, at the very least, do not hurt yourself in the process. Because I mean, if I fucking, let's say I'm doing dumbbell curls, everything feels good, I'm doing a weight that I can handle, I warmed up well, and then like for whatever reason, like I tweak my forearm, or I have like an actual serious like pull or something. I don't even want to say it, I don't even want to put that out in the world. But like, let's say I pulled something, but I was doing a normal weight in normal way, then that's just shit luck. It happens. Right? There's a lot of characters where they're doing normal working sets like they do all the time. Everything feels good, and then out of the blue, like boom, fucking. I mean, one of my buddies, Aaron, he pulled his pec pretty good. I don't think he was lying to me. He's a pretty chill dude. He tells me he was doing everything exactly like normal. Nothing felt weird. Nothing felt off. Sometimes shit just fucking happens. So that's where, whatever, you got to deal with it. You got to accept the risk, man. That's life. You can get up and get hit by a car. That doesn't mean you should stop living. But if you intentionally kind of put yourself in a situation where you're doing something extra risky, and it's not even for like legit gains, you're just fucking going extra heavy for its own sake, then that's stupid. And I'm not saying that as though I've never done it. I've fucking hurt myself I don't know how many times. Like pulling my pecs a couple times, my hamstrings a few times, forearm tweaks at the wazoo. Like nothing, like I've never had anything crazy debilitating, but I've definitely tweaked myself more times than I can count on both hands because I was going too heavy. I was doing weight that I wasn't ready for, or that I wasn't properly warmed up for, or maybe I didn't get good sleep and I was dehydrated that day. So even just doing my normal kind of heavy training, that shit would kind of happen. So that's where, I mean, I just really hate to see it. If you're a power lifter, that's different. But actual kind of bodybuilder guys, like, I mean, I don't want to dog on them, but I've seen dudes like high school kind of guys where they're loading up way more fucking weight than they can handle on the bench, on squat, on anything. And then I've seen them fucking hurt themselves, and not in like ooh, I kind of pulled my, oh, that, I'm gonna back off a little. I feel a tiny twinge. Like, no, I'm not talking like, oh yeah, I can tell that my left quad is a touch tender after that set. I should probably put that down. No, I'm talking like big, like fucking like really hurting their back, like getting smushed by weight. I've seen it. And if you're on Instagram, you see that shit all the fucking time, dude. Oh, not good. Not fucking good. And that's what sucks is that's hard to actually get into your mind. Like that's hard to actually hear and listen to, because I don't know, it's something about working out and just like fucking up. The fact that you're in control of your training, it's kind of just like second nature in a way to kind of not want to listen to people when they give you critiques, even though they're right. And I mean, I've heard the same shit, you know, even with diet, even with my training, with everything. I'm getting smarter. I can tell I'm getting smarter. I'm starting to realize, like, oh shit, these guys weren't kidding when they said you should do more kind of squeezing stuff. Oh, these guys were not joking when they said you should probably chill out on some of the junk food and kind of try to maximize, like, you know, oats and potatoes and cream of wheat and, you know, shit like that as your primary carb sources. You're just going to feel better. Like, it's, I don't know why, but it's like, it's hard to actually tell that to somebody and let them listen. You know, I've referenced this before, but that's like, you know, it's like telling a kid not to play with a lighter. Of course, oh, it's cool. This thing's fucking. They're not going to really understand until they fucking burn their finger and say, "Oh shit, fuck, that was hot. Damn, Dad was right. I shouldn't play with this fucking thing." You know, so it's kind of like lifters kind of have to come to that realization on their own. You know, and the sooner that you can be a bit smarter with your training in every aspect, the training itself, diet, sleep, your routine, like the sooner you can get a little bit smarter about it, the better. Like the quicker you can kind of get out of your head, like, you know, who gives a fuck about the weight? Let me just try to go extra hard. Like make intensity what I'm trying to maximize, not purely like the fucking physical amount of steel I'm moving around. And I'm still working on it because I still do kind of heavy stuff, but my frequency of injury is decreasing. You know, I never oh, little dog sticking his head out the window. Like I track a lot of, or not so much. Well, yeah, I track all my calories on like the fucking calorie app. I'm tracking my weight all the time. I kind of wish I would track my injuries over the last few years because that would be good to see. Because I would, like, I'm not joking. I can for sure over the last few years, my rate of like, oh, I pulled my chest, or I fucking, oh, my lat feels kind of weird, or my elbow, this, like, those are decreasing. And that's not a negligible aspect of your training. Because not only do you have to destroy, in a good way, whatever your targeted muscle is every day, but you have to not hurt yourself in the process. Because that's going to stop you from coming back harder. You know? So if you're ever feeling a little fucking spidey sense where you're getting under a weight, or you're like about to do some bench press and like you can tell your shoulders a little funky, you can tell you feel a little bit tighter than normal, maybe you didn't get very good sleep, you're a little dehydrated. If anything's out of whack, it's probably going to be in your best interest to take your foot off the gas and ease up, at least on the weight side of things. You know, when it comes to weight that's within reason, I have no reason to believe that you're going to hurt yourself. You know, I was talking to somebody a little while ago, and they were like, "Well, you can't go that hard. You know, you're going to hurt yourself." But that's not really how it works. You know, like if I gave you know, if somebody told me to curl, or if someone put me on like a preacher curl, so that I couldn't swing, I couldn't do any swinging or anything, or I mean, let's just say dumbbell curls for simplicity. Let's say someone gave me a dumbbell curl, you know, just single arm. I'm like leaned up against the wall so I can't swing or anything. And they gave me a 30-pound dumbbell. I'm never gonna be able to, like, I'm not gonna go so hard and like, you know, hit 10 reps so it's burning. Okay, 15. Oh, like my level of exertion is never gonna result in like an injury, you know. But if I were to try to like do the 70, then I'm kind of asking for trouble, you know. So weight that's well within reason for your strength level, I have no reason to believe that you're going to tweak anything. So that's where, you know, if you take a lightweight with a rope, dude, no reason to freak. You're not worried about actually fucking smushing yourself like you would under a bench or under a squat or anything else. You just get to seriously fucking go gnarly, right? So that's all I mean there, you know. Because what's going to make you bigger? A set of 10 reps to failure on incline Smith machine bench, or 1 rep of flat bench? Should be pretty obvious. Should be pretty obvious. But of course, if you're kind of more of a powerlifter character, then you know what you're doing. You train single reps, right? You're used to it. But don't do anything you're not used to. And I definitely apply that to fucking my day. You're not going to catch me break out into a sprint. I'd probably rip both my hamstrings off in like half a second. You know? So be mindful of what you get exposed to on the regular, and maybe don't do anything that's too far, away from that baseline, because that's where you're kind of asking for trouble. But enough lecturing, enough of this lecturing. Oh, don't hurt yourself. Though I do mean it. Enough of that. So, play now, go home, chill, eat. I'll probably, I've been doing a lot of steaks, but it's a little, chapped lips. It's a little bit of a chore to actually cook them, because I'm sitting here and like, the ground beef is way quicker. So I think I'll have half a pound of ground beef, 100 and something grams of carbs worth of instant oatmeal. Not the most, potentially incredibly appetizing combination, but it's pretty good. Pretty good quality fuel, I would say, and I think many others would agree. So chow down, get all my freaking thousands upon thousands of calories in for the day, have a good night's rest, and oh shit, I better really have a good night's rest because I've got legs tomorrow. So hamstrings first, followed by quads. And what will make up the workout? That's not for me to decide right now. That's for me to decide tomorrow. But hamstrings feel good, quads feel good, not sore from the last leg day, so I can tell I'm recovered such that I'll be able to go hard. And then all I gotta do then is fucking play some badass music, get in the zone, and get a leg pump so big that it rips these fucking baggy pants into oblivion. But that'll be for tomorrow. So I'll see you then.